Snow drifted softly across the kingdom of silver glow, wrapping every rooftop and treetop in a shimmering white blanket as Christmas Eve settled gently over the land. But inside the towering crystal palace, where warmth should have lived, Princess Aria sat counting her gold coins with an expression as cold as the winter wind outside. The echo of children as voices drifted faintly through the palace gates, 3 small villagers collecting donations for the poor, clutching a tiny lantern and hoping for kindness. Instead, Arya slammed the door in their faces, sending them away with nothing but disappointment and freezing air swirling around their feet. As they left, their small footprints vanished into the snow.
Welcome to Bedtime Mom, where dreams begin and stories take flight.
And for a moment, just a moment, a flicker of guilt tugged at Arya's heart. But she pushed it aside, convincing herself that kindness was useless and generosity was a burden. What she didn't know was that by turning them away, she awakened a force older than the kingdom itself, a force that watched over Christmas, over kindness, and over every heart that began to lose its warmth. That night, as Arya drifted into sleep, a soft silver glow crept into her room. A gentle hum filled the air like distant stars whispering her name. And from that glow emerged the spirit of the Christmas star, shimmering with ancient magic and compassion. It gazed at Arya with sadness and hope mixed together, ready to show her a truth she had long forgotten. A truth that could save her or break her. Because on this Christmas Eve, Princess Aria was about to discover that even the coldest heart can glow again if it is brave enough to see itself clearly. So, welcome to tonight's bedtime story, dear listener. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. This is a tale about change, gentle, magical, and filled with snowflakes that carry the secrets of the past, the warmth of the present, and the possibilities of the future. This story invites you to wander through Silverglow's silent streets and feel the softness of falling snow against your dreams. It invites you to follow Princess Aria on her journey, one filled with lessons wrapped in starlight and hope. As you listen, remember that kindness is a light that never fades, and generosity is a warmth that grows the more we share it. Let the snow settle around you. Let the magic drift softly into your imagination, and let this Christmas tale carry you gently towards sleep. Tonight, we discover whether Princess Aria's heart will thaw before Christmas morning or remain frozen forever. Princess Aria sat high in her crystal palace, surrounded by glittering chandeliers and piles of gold coins stacked like tiny mountains. Every morning, she polished them herself, not because she had to, but because she enjoyed the shine more than people, more than kindness, more than anything. On this Christmas Eve, her coldness seemed even sharper. Outside, snowflakes floated gently across the kingdom, and the bells of the village church rang with hope. 3 children, trembling from the cold, approached the palace gate carrying a little lantern and a basket made from woven straw. They weren't asking for much, just a small donation for the poor families who had nothing to eat that night. When Arya opened the door, the warm light from inside spilled onto the snowy ground, making the children gasp. For a moment, it seemed like she might help, but her eyes hardened, and without even listening, she slammed the door in their tiny faces. Their lantern flickered, their shoulders drooped, and they walked away silently. Arya returned to her gold, humming to herself, unaware that her coldness had stirred something ancient, something that refused to let this Christmas pass without change. Deep in the palace kitchen, Rowan scrubbed pots with tired hands. His father was sick at home, coughing through the nights, and Rowan had hoped Princess Aria might finally show mercy and let him leave early. As he approached her, dust still clinging to his sleeves, he spoke gently. "Your Majesty, may I take leave for Christmas Eve? My father is unwell." Aria barely glanced at him. "Christmas Eve is no excuse for laziness," she replied. "Clean the grand fireplace before nightfall, every stone, every corner." Rowan's heart sank, but he nodded. He always nodded. As he walked toward the giant fireplace, he whispered a silent wish that his father would not be alone. He reached into his pocket and looked at the last coin he had saved. Barely enough for bread, certainly not enough for medicine. If only the princess knew how close he was to losing the only family he had left. But Aria never asked, never cared. All she cared for were numbers, how many coins she had, how many jewels sparkled under candlelight. Rowan lifted the heavy broom and began his work, while snow fell quietly outside, carrying with it the first whispers of magic. Princess Aria finished her tea and prepared for bed, unaware that something strange was unfolding outside her window. The moonlight flickered unnaturally, bending and twisting until a soft silver glow gathered in the shape of a star alive, bright, and pulsing with gentle energy. Aria felt a warmth brush her cheek, and she bolted upright. At first, she thought it was a dream, but when the glowing figure stepped closer, she gasped. It was taller than her, with robes made from starlight and eyes that shimmered like galaxies. Princess Aria, the spirit of the Christmas star, whispered, "Your heart grows colder each year. It is time to see what you have forgotten." Aria crossed her arms. "I don't need saving. I'm perfectly happy," the spirit's expression soft with sadness. "You will be visited by 3 guides of present, past, and future. They will show you what your gold cannot." Aria laughed. "I don't care what they show me." "Then you fear the truth," the spirit replied, glowing brighter. "Listen, child. You are not beyond hope, but hope will not wait forever." Before Aria could answer, the moonlight swirled, and the room faded into silver mist. When the mist cleared, Aria found herself standing outside a tiny wooden house, its roof heavy with snow. She shivered. She had never felt real cold before. Beside her stood a glowing figure, the guide of the present, wrapped in warm golden light. "You wish to see nothing," the guide said softly, "but you will see everything." Through the frost-covered window, Aria saw Rowan kneeling beside his father, who lay pale and weak under a thin blanket. Rowan's hands trembled as he placed a small candle on the table. "I'm sorry, father," he whispered. "I tried to get more medicine, but I couldn't." His father placed a hand over Rowan's. "Your love is stronger than any medicine." Aria felt a strange tightening in her chest. She had rejected Rowan's simple request. She had added more work. She had ignored the pain in his eyes. Why? Why didn't he tell me it was this bad? She muttered. The guide looked at her gently. He did. You simply chose not to hear. Rowan broke his bread in half, his only dinner, and gave the larger piece to his father. Aria looked away, but shame still found her. Aria blinked, and the present guide faded, replaced by swirling snow that carried her far back into memory. When the snow settled, she found herself in a bright room filled with laughter. A little girl, tiny, joyful, precious, ran around decorating a small Christmas tree. Aria's breath caught. That's me. The guide of the past, cloaked in soft blue light, nodded gently. Before fear, before loneliness, before you built your walls, young Aria held her parents' hands, giggling as they lifted her to place the star on top of the tree. The palace then was smaller, warmer, filled with music instead of echoes. Her mother knelt in front of her. "Promise me, Aria," she said kindly, "that you will grow to be generous and brave. Kindness is a crown no one can steal. I promise." Young Aria chirped, full of innocent joy. But then the scene darkened. Snow fell harder. The palace felt empty. Aria watched her younger self crying alone after her parents' sudden passing. With no one to guide her, she grew guarded, cold, convinced that caring only led to pain. "You protected yourself," the guide whispered. "But in doing so, you froze your heart." Aria's eyes filled with tears. Darkness swallowed the past as the guide of the future appeared, wrapped in shadow and silence. Aria felt her heartbeat quicken. She followed the guide through an unfamiliar palace corridor, dusty, cracked, forgotten. When they entered the grand hall, Aria's breath vanished. It was empty. Dead quiet. Chairs overturned, windows broken, fireplaces cold. "Where is everyone?" she asked, voice trembling. The guide said nothing. Instead, it pointed to a portrait on the wall, draped in cobwebs. Aria stepped closer and froze. It was her older, expression-hardened, eyes lifeless. Beneath the portrait was a plaque. Princess Aria, remembered only for her wealth. Outside the palace, a crowd gathered, but their voices were not kind. They spoke of her greed, her coldness, her neglect. Children avoided the gates. Villagers whispered prayers of relief. No one mourned. Not a single candle was lit in her memory. Aria felt the cold reach deep into her bones. "No," she whispered. "Please, no. I don't want this future. I don't want to be alone." For the first time, her heart cracked open, not from fear, but from regret. She reached for the guide's hand, begging, "Tell me I can change this." The guide raised its glowing finger and tapped her heart. Aria jolted awake with a gasp. The morning sun spilled through her window, painting her room with soft gold. Her heart thudded wildly. She was alive, back in her bed, back in her palace. But everything felt different. The air felt warmer. Her chest felt lighter. Her hands trembled not from fear, but from hope. She leapt out of bed, still in her nightgown, and hurried through the palace halls. Servants paused mid-step, startled by her sudden energy. For the first time in years, she smiled at them, not a forced smile, not a royal smirk, but a real one. "Merry Christmas," she called, surprising even herself with how gentle her voice sounded. She asked for Rowan, and when he approached nervously, she placed her hands on his shoulders. "Rowan, I have wronged you." He blinked in shock. "Your Majesty? I want to make things right." Her voice cracked slightly. "For your father, and for you." Rowan saw sincerity in her eyes, something he had never seen before. Slowly, a small, hopeful smile formed on his face. Something miraculous had begun. Aria rushed to the palace treasury, not to count coins, but to gather gifts. She filled baskets with warm blankets, soft bread, healing herbs, and silver coins. She even found an old violin, polished it, and placed it gently among the gifts. Then she handed Rowan a pouch filled with enough gold to cover his father's medicine for a year. Rowan's hands shook. "Your Majesty." I don't know what to say." "Say nothing," Aria whispered. "Just take care of him." She called for the palace sleigh and had it loaded with food, toys, and winter clothes. For the first time, she rode into the village herself. When the villagers saw her, they were confused, wary, unsure. But Aria stepped down into the snow, holding gifts instead of orders. She knocked on doors, met children, warmed cold homes, and offered help without expecting anything in return. Slowly, people's faces softened. Children offered her cookies. An elderly woman hugged her. A little boy gave her a handmade paper star. Aria felt warmth she had forgotten existed, warmth that came not from gold or luxury, but from kindness itself. As evening fell, the villagers invited Aria to their Christmas feast. She hesitated at first, unused to such humility and love, but Rowan gently nudged her forward. Inside the village hall, candles glowed warmly. Music played softly. Families chatted around long wooden tables covered with simple but delicious food. Aria sat with Rowan, his father, and several children who had once feared her. They laughed, they shared stories, and they offered her more kindness than she had shown her entire life. One little girl tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Princess." "You're different today," Aria smiled softly. "I'm trying to be." The girl placed the paper star she'd made into Aria's hands. "Then this is for you. It's a star of kindness. It always finds its way back." Aria held it to her chest, feeling that same warmth again, bright, soft, healing. As snow drifted gently outside, Aria realized something. She was no longer alone. She belonged not because she was a princess, but because she had chosen kindness. And that Christmas night in the village hall filled with laughter, Princess Aria found a family she never knew she needed. A family built not by blood, but by love. As the final snowflakes of Christmas night drifted across the village rooftops, Princess Aria stepped outside and looked up at the sky, holding the small paper star against her heart. She felt something she had almost forgotten, a gentle peace, a quiet joy, a warmth that no amount of gold had ever given her. For the first time in many years, she wasn't thinking about her treasures locked away in the palace vaults. She was thinking about Rowan's smile, the children's laughter, the grateful hugs of the villagers, and the simple beauty of a community coming together. She realized that kindness, once given, returns tenfold, lighting the path ahead like a soft winter lantern. And as Aria walked back through the village, listening to the chiming bells echo across the snowy hills, she whispered a silent promise to keep this new heart alive, not just for one night, but for every day to come. And so, dear listener, as you drift towards sleep, may your heart also carry a little piece of Aria's Christmas lesson. May you remember that kindness is the greatest gift we can give, and the one that always finds its way back to us. Good night, and may your dreams be warm, gentle, and full of light.